Land of the Lustrous Volume 2 compiles chapters 7 through 13 that were originally released in Afternoon magazine between April 2013 and October 2013, marking 1 year of serialization of this manga. Compared to Volume 1's physical release, which took about 4 months after the last chapter came out, so chapter 6, volume 2 took one shorter month to come out in January of the following year. This volume itself is structured kind of like the previous one, as it seems to pick up exactly where the first volume leaves off by setting up a new mystery in a new location under the sea. However, with Volume 2, Ichikawa leaves it way more open-ended as we finish off with a sunspot in the sky. Likewise, the first chapter of the volume also focuses on Kongo, like the first chapter of the manga itself, compared to the other 6 chapters in this volume. The front cover depicts new characters, but still follows the ovular orientation of a brooch surrounding the logo Houseki no Kuni, while the back finally shows off the true forms of the Admirabalis. Although ventricosis was previewed on the back of Volume 1, if you looked on the inside cover that you can't find on the English version, it's like her true arm, maybe leg, oh, whatever grabs the clipboard itself. The inside cover always features the truth, as with this Volume 2, Foss doesn't have their shiny new legs, and the twins are much closer to each other with the hair positioned in a foreshadowing way leading into Volume 3. This is also the first time that we get character introductions. I made a video 5 years ago on how genius they were, and need to make an updated version of this as volumes 11, 12, and 13 had not been released back then, but I will comment here that Ichikawa uses the introduction to establish the pairings visually for the Gem Society. Of course, we know the primary pairings like Bordaya, Morga Gauche, Euclid, and Jade, and we do see a few from this volume that were introduced, such as Yellow, Zircon, and the Amethyst twins. What's weird, maybe interesting, is that Hemi and Watermelon, who were part of the montage in chapter 5 when Diamond was showing off the little slug, aren't shown here in the character introductions, but Benito and Neptunite are. I don't know what went on Ichikawa's mind on who to include where. Maybe it was just a spacing thing, and then she learns to space the gems a little better moving forward, but yeah, interesting to point out. Even if all of these gems are spaced out throughout the introductions page, the one underlying feature that connects them all isn't actually Congo, but it's the shadows, as it indicates the light reflecting through the water, which is prevalent in this volume that takes place in the sea, especially when this art style of the little light peeking through the waves is really only showcased in this volume alone, as her art style develops drastically as we get into the later volumes. All the gems do go into the sea to look for Foss. Whether they think Foss is useless or not, that gem is one of them. It's not like you need me to tell you how great Ichikawa's paneling is when it comes to the sea and everything that goes on with it. There's plenty of other videos for that. But like we talked about with Volume 1, the promotion for Volume 2's release was a little more than the usual PV, but definitely in line with the series itself. If you bought the volume in person at this extensive list of stores, you got this bonus Shikishi board that has Diamond and Foss. There's also this board dated for 2014, the same year of Volume 2's release, however many months later, as it seems to be tied with the Harvest Festival promotion that takes place annually sometime between mid-September and early October. There was also a Twitter giveaway that actually gave out real gems of our fictional gems, with a drawing attached to winners who ended up sharing their thoughts on Volume 2, which is pretty dope. I myself have a couple pieces. I don't know if you can see it, but this top part here is Aphophilite. I got it from a gem shop in Seattle last year, and then this little tiny thing here is actually real Foss that I got from Rizzo. Do you guys have any actual gems? Have you gotten deep into the weeds of this fandom that you've started to collect real rocks? I don't know. This would be a perfect time to talk about my own giveaways. Not on Twitter or anything like that, but we always save that for the end, so instead I will highlight the beautiful thumbnail done by the beautiful Diet Sofa. They have a commissions page up. I'll post a little picture of it here. However, per usual, this video is very late, so who knows if it's even up currently, but show them some love if you would like to. Although the English version doesn't really have a holofoil on it like the original Japanese volume, it has a unique summary that you can't find anywhere else, which is likely done by the editor Lauren Scanlan. Maybe the quotes as well, I'm not too sure, but I think it's funny that Steven Universe is mentioned here on the back of Volume 2, and it doesn't get continued as one of the quotes from Volume 3 onwards, as stated by Kodansha. The cover design for Volume 2 onwards is done by Phil Balson. When I reached out to Phil about their work, Phil kind of stated that they only followed what was already done by Volume 1's designer Fawn Lau, who did the trade dress. So the logo, the pricing, and other added visual packaging of the product. Fawn and Lauren, I was unable to contact for any insight into the production process, and I've already talked with the Nibley twins before, but specifically for this volume, they mentioned one particular translation. I'll play a clip now.
For example, if there's like wordplay, then we need to change that, or we can decide it's not important. The one that comes to mind from Land of the Lustrous is when Foss is talking to who is Ventricosis.
Yeah.
And Ventricosis says that she's the Sea King. She's the O of the ocean. Mm-hmm. And Foss is like, oh? And she's like, oh. It's like, you're the king? Yes. But in Japanese, it's the same word. So it's like, well, how can we get that playfulness in the English language as well? And that is going to require actually like being more liberal, because you can't do a straight version.
Yeah.
But fortunately, that one worked out pretty well because we went with Sea King.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not the same word, but it rhymes and it's really close.
Yeah,
so.
And it has a similar, because O is acknowledging that you've been addressed, and speaking, when you're like speaking, you're saying, yes, I'm the one speaking. So it's a similar meaning. Yeah. But it's a very different word.
And then Evan Hayden, the letterer, also showed off alternate versions of the translations notes page for this volume as well. Haruko Ichikawa obviously didn't create this manga all by herself. There's a couple people that are listed. Publisher, that's Shishikura Tatsuya, and then there's an editor who's also listed, Suzuki Naoyuki. These were both listed on the SF Grand Prize acceptance sheet, while Anime News Network, or ANN, has Yasumasa Shimizu as the publisher, and chances are both of those have been publishers throughout the run of 12, 13, 14 years, so maybe it's correct. There's no real information about these individuals other than Ichikawa's old interview talking about how her editor asked about a serialization after her anthology series. Also, there's no real public information if Ichikawa is the only artist that worked on this manga or she used assistants with her work. Maybe one day we'll learn more about what it took to make this amazing series, but for now, this is the limited information that we have. But yeah, let's run the giveaways. I have several that's stacked up, and the winner is you guys. So please, check your emails. That's all I'm saying. But other than that, Volume 2 is done, so you know what's next. Volume 3. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.